It is another fantastic Friday. It's the 6th day of September, 11:01 on the dot, and you're logged on to WinFM 98.9 for another presentation of Voices. My name is Socrates, your host today, and it's just another fantastic Friday within the Federation across the region. And we, as you know, on Voices, we have a little chit-chat, a nice little debate on the various topics. So we will entertain whatever topic is on the table today. But first, of course, we must pay credit to our sponsors. So we'll pause for that in the interim, and then we get right back to the nitty-gritty.
Familiar sound of the school bell ringing to let you know that class is in session. Listen up, class. Let your parents know that the place to shop for your back-to-school essentials is the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Get up to 30% off backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, printers, and more. And while they're there, be sure to have them ask about the tech tools for teachers so we can help you achieve even more success. And remind them about Flash Sale Fridays, when you can receive even more savings just in time for the new school year. Now you know. See you at TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Class is now dismissed. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
To our viewers and listeners, welcome back to today's presentation of Voices. I want to say good morning to the morning crew, the guys who are normally out there logged on to let me know where they're listening to what's happening within the Federation. We got Chris Collins, of course. I call him the ambassador. And we have Rosemary Donald, we have Brenda O'Neill, we have Jennifer. Just a number of guys out there who are regular. Sister Henry. She's on the local platform. But just about everyone, we want to say good morning, good afternoon to you. For Petra Williams over there in China, she's from Antigua over there in China doing the thing. I want to say good night to you. They're actually 12 hours ahead of us. So it's 11 o'clock now. It's 11 o'clock, almost midnight over there. So she may get his Z's in. Fact is, they're all fans of this program. So we want to thank you for the support over the many years. And, you gave us some impetus to go on. Chris, give me a call if you can, please. Now, we have some guests due in the studio this morning, some folks from Gender Affairs. And then there's another gentleman coming at 12:30, Dr. Bufu, and we're going to have quite a discussion. In the meantime, we have some news from across the region. The gentleman who coined the phrase that a horn is not a horn, you take it on, Dr. Roy Cape, has passed. And this reminds me of many years ago when another musical giant from the region, in the person of Byron Lee, passed on. And everybody was called to, give their views or share the memory of Byron Lee, a giant in the region. And he, of course, would have made a massive impact on the music of the Caribbean. Roy Cape, in his own unique way, would have done the same. Let me read the article. And it says, iconic Trinidadian musician Roy Cape dies at 82 after a battle with prostate cancer. Trinidad and Tobago is mourning the loss of legendary musician, band leader, and saxophonist Dr. Roy Francis Cape, who passed away at the age of 82 after a prolonged battle with prostate cancer. Cape, a towering figure in Caribbean music, led the iconic Roy Cape All-Stars for over 5 decades. Mentioning some of the biggest names in the soca and calypso, including Destro, that should be mentoring. Let me read that again. Mentoring some of the biggest names in soca and calypso, including Destro, Garcia, Dexter Blacks, Stewart, and Ricardo Jew. Known for his powerful saxophone performance and dedication to the cultural landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, Cape's career spanned 6 decades. His journey in music began in an orphanage where he first learned to play and saw him rise to the top of the Caribbean music scene. Throughout his career, he was a staunch advocate for better wages for working conditions for musicians. His contributions earned him the prestigious Hummingbird Medal Gold in 2004, and in 2011 he was awarded the Honorary Doctor of Laws degree from the University, of the West Indies. Cape's passing was confirmed. Okay, that would cover that. Okay, known for his powerful Caribbean scene. Yeah, the thing switched on me. Cape's passing was confirmed by his daughter, Joanne Cape Julian, who posted an emotional message on Facebook calling for prayers and support during this difficult time. His death marks the end of a remarkable era as he officially retired from performing in 2017. Do you know that? Leaving behind an indelible legacy. The legendary musician passing has sparked an outpouring of tributes from across the Caribbean and beyond. Former calypso monarch Kurt Allen expressed his gratitude for the opportunities Cape provided, posting, "Rest in eternal peace, King Roy Cape, Pappy. Walk real good." Meanwhile, Austin Superblue Lyons described Cape as a great and loving friend, reflecting on their many years of friendship and collaboration. In addition to his achievement in music, Cape underwent surgery at San Grande Hospital in 2019 after suffering a hip injury, yet continued to face his health battles with grace. Roy Cape leaves behind a lasting legacy in the world of Caribbean music, remembering not only his talent but his unwavering support for fellow musicians. His influence on the Trinidadian culture will be felt for generations to come. May he rest in eternal peace. Do we have anything by Jamster? Anything at all we can play? For those who don't know, and for those who know, a little reminder of the footprints. If you have something, because there are those who may not know, and there are those who would like a reminder of what he used to dish out. I had an occasion to perform with his band some years ago when I performed at the Spectacular Soca Monarch performance in Antigua. I met him before that, but on that occasion I was an artist being supported by his band, and of course he was just legendary. If you didn't know him, you'll pass him on the street very unassuming. And then you hear the name mentioned, Roy Cape. Oh, that's Roy Cape. It's like an institution. And it's good to know that his music is appreciated, very, very highly respected. And so we come to the end of a journey of another Caribbean musical icon. We saw the same with Byron Lee. And we have now Well, Joey Lewis is still there, but other names would have not been so prominent, though making their musical impact in the region. We have our very own Elston Nero King Elimatch, and I would put him on the same level of genius when it comes to what he delivered, what he's still capable of delivering, and to some extent not really appreciated to the full extent. But I think in the broader St. Kitts, Nevis, and the wider Caribbean community, his legacy is still impacting the region. So we have to pause from time to time and give kudos to those who are still with us and not just wait until they would have passed to speak about what they would have done, what they did. So if you have something, let's hear it. I know you're trying. But Roy Cape, you have something? Okay. With blacks? Okay, well, keep accompanying blacks. Like a sugar, take a wine on this one. It's a minute now. You making joke? No, it's the first time I'm hearing. That's Blacks, right? And he passed, about 80 months ago? Also another iconic musician. He struggled to get fame after what I did. Well, you got to talk to the public because I didn't know that. So after Roy retired, Blacks took over the bat. Okay. And he passed before Roy? Yes. By the way, I spoke to Nature B's... Okay. I spoke with Nature G's mom yesterday, and she says he's doing fine, doing very well in Miami. So that's good news. I was showing her a picture of Peace Man, who's doing very well in Canada. We have lots of talent who would have gone out there and making the names and presence known. So we're happy to hear that Nisha B is over there in Florida doing his thing still. There were no, that was before. No, there was a different band, Nigel and Marvin. It wasn't White Cape. But in case you guys don't know, you listen to Voices, and we're paying a little tribute to White Cape as we wait the arrival of our guests today from Gender Affairs to have a discussion on domestic violence, etc. For those who can hear us and they want to make any contributions or introduce any topics, it's 662-0989, and we'll take it from there. Right? Is the volume low or my phone's not really Not hearing it? About the same. It's about the same. Very, very low. Okay, what we do, we can pause for our station break and then sort that out and then, take it from there.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you Financial Services. This is where you belong. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Hey kids, drink healthy!
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking, football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
Okay, to our viewers and listeners, welcome back to today's presentation of Voices. And in the meantime, we had a call from Mr. Chris Collins up there in London. The fact is, he came in at the time we were taking a station break, and he had some comments to share with us about Roy Cape. And when he met him, an impression that he have of him, I should say the late Roy Cape, met him. He was a humble guy, and I really wish we could get him live because he's got this very distinct voice, and Chris Collins is only one, of him, whether he's well-fed or not. Why Cape Industrial? Okay. There was a little snippet of Destro some years ago. So you find he touched the lives of many, and Destro was one of the person that they mentioned that he mentored. Okay, we're starting by to get a visit from the folks from Gender Affairs to discuss domestic abuse. In the meantime, we just sort of paying tribute to the late Dr. Roy Cape, another Caribbean musical giant, who would have been responsible for the careers of many, many Caribbean artists, a few were mentioned. But you think of Roy Cape and, you're thinking about an institution. I mentioned the name of Elson Nero Elimat in that vein because these guys stand out. We had, from Antigua some years ago, the Mason Brothers. We hear about Shirley Tobit, Jagger Martin, And while they're here, it's a fact that they don't get the amount of respect or even recognition, but it is what it is. And so we still pause to give credit, right? As blacks. Well, it's a whole industry. I know folks who would have engineered the recordings and sent the waveforms to Trinidad for the horns to be played. He's got a very distinct sound. Now, we know we got some great hornmen here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but you find when I recorded with, back in the day in Trinidad, etc., those guys were like clicking. And, Puerto Rico, they were Latin horn players are in a league by themselves. You say we don't have any great horn players? It's been difficult to find guys who rise above the normal, and sometimes that comes from the inspiration that's there or not. Because when you have persons to emulate, you tend to want to step up to the plate. Definitely. And I've asked the questions many times. What happens when Wingrove Hicks and his brother Nigel Hicks step up to the pitch? What happens? We have Inanga. He's from Nigeria. So we can say we have 3 trumpeters living in St. Kitts. But outside of that, what happens? As a matter of fact, they'll be featured on the show coming up on the 14th as the Kings Among Kings. I don't know if they're advertised here, but that's the show. Be featured on the, I think it's Marriott, on the night of the 14th of this month. Today's the 5th. We're talking about 9 days from now, so to speak. And it's the one band that will be providing orchestration. Now, we were known for our musical prowess, going back for years and years, even from the days of Steel Band. The question, what has happened? You heard the names of the Heat Waves, the Earth Tones, the Grandest True. That era has gone. You had the Elimat and the J Brass. Then you had the Breakaway, those who broke away, became the brass, etc. But the horn sections were instrumental. I've known many artists come here and they hired a certain band and they couldn't deal with the orchestration because they don't play horns. You got a call? Okay, and so you find, I didn't want to go so far. I just said they can't play horns, that's all I said. And they travel and they get a lot of recognition out there, but in terms of being a band to hold a show with a foreign artist and provide that level of orchestration, only one band has that ability right now, unless you put a collective together. Right? So I think that those guys will be rehearsing the music will be here from the 9th, based on what Wingrove said to me. And so that show would be a break from the normal thing because it was done elsewhere. It's called King Amongst King, and we have some of the giants in the region, all from Trinidad, except for the local cast. You have Poser, and I asked the promoter, how did Poser come king? Because he's a king amongst kings, and he gave me some story. Poser is known for Bus Conductor. That was his big hit way back in the day, some 25 years ago. But Nelson has been an icon in his 90s. King Liar, One Family, Lala. He brings the house down every single time when he performs. The Monarch King Shorter from Antigua, another icon, Dr. MacLean Emmanuel, giving his accolades while he yet breathes. And then you have Crazy. When it comes to marketing, he's the face up there for most of the shows, and he does a wonderful job. He asked me to send him a list of songs that he should sing on the show. Crazy. Anything you sing in St. Kitts is a hit. Nanny Wine, Cold Sweat, Paul, which is Paul, your mother come. Can't stand up. I wonder why you really want to hear the song. I was thinking about Drive It. Drive It. I don't know about, which one is that?
Hello, Susie. I have your $100 phone card here for you.
Phone card, yeah.
You want me to call out the number for you, or you want me to text you? Hey, 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 hey.
Crazy.
Hey, oh. What is wrong with Susie? She driving me crazy. Anytime she see me, she want me top up she phone for she. She have 3 phones on the G-Cell and 2 the mobile phone as well. You could tell I just have it hard. Every day must buy she phone card. She only only want me fuck hard. She only want me fuck hard. Yes, I going mad, mad, mad. She only want me fuck hard. She only want me fuck hard. That is only girl want me for. Sometimes I just can't take no more. Late at night, only in the morning, the girl coming. Fuck hard, she coming. Fuck hard, she coming.
I have to laugh because the genius of calypso. Now, what do you call that? What do you call a song? Soca calypso.
O'clock and you know around this crazy get up now, baby. It's 6 o'clock and you know around this time this standards be hard. Gosh, get up now, baby. Oh gosh, get up now. Oh gosh, man, crazy, get up now, you lazy wretch. It's 6 o'clock and you know this stand hard. You're gonna make me lost my work, man. Oh God, get up now, get up. This stand hard.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. This morning, the girl tell me, crazy, listen carefully. The standards be hard. The standards be hard. I can't take the jamming because there's too much ocean. The standards be hard. The standards be hard. I fed up waiting for her. I can't take it no longer. Drop me to work. I ain't making joke. The standards be hard. The standards be hard. The standards be hard.
Bus stand. Bus stand. Well, that's a double entendre. Yeah, and those songs, I mean, look at Paul, the mother come. You know, and it's a phrase that resonates. People just, okay, I know what he's talking about. But you're thinking what he's thinking, but he's singing what he's singing. You know. These are anthems around the region, and he's asking, like, what song should he sing in St. Kitts? Easily, I call 5. Paul, Cold Sweat, Phone Card, and quite a few others. Nanny Wine. But yeah, definitely. And they would have done a wonderful job in New York over the last couple of days to perform at the Apollo in times to come. You have a new line, Danny? In times to come, America will have a female president. So he, you know, changed the lyrics. Yeah. And the guy who wrote that didn't get a whole lot of recognition. No. Merchant would have passed long before. Winston Devines. Yeah. Devines wrote Education. Devines wrote Slave. Most of Barron's hits were done by Devines. They call him Joker. You know. I had a book which I loaned to the late Mick Stokes that listed just about all the songs that he wrote for all the big, you know. And Sparrow would pay him not to let it known that he was the author of all those big hits. Education. You know. The one he did for Progress for King Austin. Not a classic. He wrote Progress. And so there was a certain calypsonian, I forget his name, he died too. He complained about a lot of calypsonians who were getting the glory and the recognition for songs that they didn't write. Said they're not calypso, they're calypso singers. So there was that debate. But because Sparrow would have benefited from that, he didn't touch it. A lot of the big hits out there, they didn't write them at all. Right? Tobago Crusoe. He would have written all of Sandro's big hits. The War Will Go On. I'm telling you. The one about Crying in the Ghetto. All those songs, Tobago Crusoe. So in terms of royalties, he's raking it in. He sent me a song last week. I'm gonna have to give it to you. You know, he has some great music. He's still doing his thing up there in London. Well, all of Sandro's big hit, Tobago Crusoe. You know. So we appreciate those guys. As I said, not much is known about him today. But he was the one who brought the song about the tree, the Bajan, Trinidadian, and Vincentian, and the diving down and who can stay down so long and who come up with eat the bread. That's him. Tobago Crusoe. Really? He's a weakest. Oh, that's his thing. That's what he writes about. you know. I'm not sure what time I guess we'll arrive, but we just talking calypso and musically. Okay, I know funk. I know Fish. Actually, he was here in the studio with us before. Okay.
These are simple questions your mother asked. English comprehension sometimes bring man to wrong conclusion. Some can't talk the language, but hear the warrant carry message. Certain words in English, two meanings. Pronunciation, that is the main thing. And if you find yourself in a doubt, you keep your tongue inside of your mouth. Juben tell the father he had a message for him from his mother. But the poor fella, he can't talk straight, he does stutter. He don't talk with pace. Everything he doing it with haste. So when you be talking, you better make sure you're listening. Your mother asked, why you ain't call home? Your mother asked, why you use the phone? Your mother asked, why you send the cash? Your mother asked, like you want a lash, you may find that I'm being fast. But this a message I had to pass. Don't think bad, cause these are questions your mother asked.
Creative genius. I know him. They came here some years ago. I think they did an interview here also. Face the Boss. Right. Baker had to be there. When you talk about calypso in this sub-region, there's no calypso without Baker. He's just there. He sleeps it, he drinks it, he breathes it. I don't know. But Baker is quite a writer because he writes for some calypsonians here in St. Kitts and Nevis. He does that. You know, and sometimes he actually called me and asked me why people coming to him. And I hear. But it's a whole different thing, and such. But Eustace, another icon. Another fundamental person when it comes to the music and marketing of music from St. Kitts. In terms of getting the music out there, as great as it was, there was no music without Eustace. He was the person who operated the engine room behind Element. You have these persons. And he migrated, but still makes his contribution. Not at the same level because the whole playing field has changed, but we want to thank a person like Eustace for what he did for the Federation in terms of getting the music out there and getting the bands out there. And I'm saying this because a lot of these folks are not recognized today. It's a whole different generation. But they were part of what made Element. Somebody spoke about the legacy of Conce Edwards. I'm thinking, for people on his legacy, and you come into this too. You come into this jamster. Arise by King Arrow would not be what it is now as a sort of anthem without Conce Edwards. Conce, well, is recognized as a national song. We have an official national anthem, right? But you have Viva St. Kitts and you have Arise. Okay? And Conce Edwards was the person who pushed that into our collective consciousness. You can have the best song, but unless, and you know, what he did for our nationals at home and those who were out in the diaspora, he gave them a link every Tuesday night. They could tune in to the national showcase. So it gave you a sense of belonging. If you felt nostalgic, tune into Conce Edwards on the national showcase every Tuesday night. And that was it. Right? Mick Stokes would have taken up that challenge. Also doing a wonderful job. He has also passed. Jazzy D is what we have now. You know. And maybe we need to get the DJs together. I've spoken to the carnival people from time to time. When you're planning your carnival activity, get the DJs involved, because the marketing that people like Cons and others did for St. Kitts Carnival yesterday is not happening today. People out there knew it was Antigua Carnival because we tuned into those radio stations, ABS, ZDK during that time. So we know all the songs in Antigua. When I was on this very show I mentioned in Antigua some years ago with the Roy Cape Band, I was staying at the Hawksbill Hotel. And after they dropped me off one night after the show, the night auditor, he was there at front desk. He wouldn't let me sleep. He walked me through every song of Fancy, every song of Star Shield. They knew, and it was an education to me that in Antigua, they knew the songs that were hitting. Telling you, and well, that was my topic. So I was in with him. He told me the year Fancy should have won, what he sang, this and that. So you don't know who's listening. And so on the reverse, we know all the songs. Do you know all the songs? But it comes from the DJs playing all songs up there, sending out the music. No. What we do, we give a platform to Trinidad and Jamaican artists to the point that when we have music festival, you don't have any calypsonians on that show. Because calypso don't matter anymore. But it comes to what the DJs play or not. Let's see, what is this saying? I think it's about time we pause for another station idea, and we'll be back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
The perfect smart start for their future with CHIP, the child investment plan from TDC Financial Services. Invest in your child's next step, and we know what's next is always changing.
Chip, we wanna get chip.
CHIP is a long-term plan with no minimum deposit, no monthly commitment, and you're guaranteed a special high interest rate per annum.
I want chip. I want chip too.
Visit TDC Financial Services today and get CHIP, the child investment plan, providing the best head start for every child.
Chip, we wanna get chip.
At 11:40, we're back on with the little conversations about musicians across the region. You're listening to Voices. My name is Socrates, and I'm having a little chit-chat here with Jamster. Chris did just send a picture of him and Tobago Crusoe. Val Henry approves. Okay, that's a different thing. So yes, this is what's happening. You guys have this awesome responsibility, and you don't know. At the PMs, the first crime symposium discussion, I had to leave to come to the program. I would have asked him or advised him, when you're talking about dealing with crime and wanting an all hands on deck approach, you've got to bring the DJ/radio presenters into that discussion. Their amongst the biggest influencers in the region. Whether you're here or you're out there, the DJs, the radio presenters that play the music that this generation listens to, they can reach that generation that you're hoping to reach through the music. So you can't have an all hands on deck approach to crime prevention and not bring the DJs into discussion. They're the ones who are reaching the youth on platforms that you cannot even imagine. Now you can say, well, okay, they don't have to listen to radio because they have they have TikTok on YouTube and the other one to listen to music for easily. But then the DJs are the trendsetters who make these songs popular. So you Jamster have an awesome responsibility in terms of shaping the mindset of our young people. But it's true. You don't know who's listening to you. But if you want as an influencer, because you are, if collectively our DJs take an approach of playing certain music, not weaponize dealing with vulgarity and violence and gang thing, We have a caller? Okay. So it's what you play.
I have to weigh in here. This was something I had wanted to talk about. I had told Cortensia we would talk about it on Island Tea, but now since you raised it, I'm being devil's advocate to a degree here, but the Carnival Committee just announced, you've seen the announcement they made about not condoning and not, basically...
Where is it posted? I have not seen it.
Okay, I'm going to send it to you now.
Okay.
Basically saying, they're not going to be tolerating violent lyrics and so on. So I thought...
In Calypso?
For Carnival, like any music from...
Okay.
So I said, well, what about the risque, ribald, racy, raunchy, lot of R's, element to the music? So
sexually suggestive.
Vulgarity, yes. Mm-hmm. So what about vulgarity? What about, excessive vulgarity and vulgarity and violence? Why
leads into the other?
Why just violence? So I thought that was a conversation we need to have. I'm going to send it to you now so you could read it.
One leads into the other. All right? Because carnival time is supposedly a time for wild abandon. When it comes to the fetes and the dances and the street activity and all that. So people go out with a mindset, this is Mrs. Jones from January to November. Come December carnival time, all the bets are off. And we appreciate and understand that. But I'm saying, even during a carnival season, most of our songs, those that are uplifting, do not get airplay at all. It's still Trinidad songs and Jamaican songs and the message that they send infiltrating through you, over the stations, to our youth. Weaponized music. And I don't know. So it's interesting to hear that they're taking a position on music that's themed as vulgar or deal with violence. I don't find calypsonians putting out lyrics. Yeah, I'm just looking for it that deal with violence, but it is what it is. Yeah, let me see now. Okay, so let me see what you're referring to. And it's from the National Carnival Committee. And it reads to all media, date August 31st, 2024. From the St. Kitts and Nevis Carnival Committee, the subject is St. Kitts and Nevis National Carnival Committee calls for unity and powerful celebration for Sugar Mass 53. I guess that's the theme. I'm dealing with fine print here, so please bear with me. As we approach the vibrant and highly anticipated Sugar Mass 53, the St. Kitts and Nevis National Carnival Committee, okay, still fine print. The Let me start again. As we approach the vibrant and highly anticipated Sugar Mass 53, the St. Kitts and Nevis National Carnival Committee, SKNNCC, wishes to reaffirm its commitment to fostering an environment of unity, love, and enjoyment for all stakeholders involved in the National Carnival. The committee is calling upon all revelers, artists, bands, patrons, promoters, band leaders, and all other stakeholders to join in promoting peace throughout the carnival season. Sugar Mass is a time for bringing our communities together, and it is vital that this spirit of togetherness remains at the heart of our festivities. In this light, the SKNNCC will not endorse or condone any song, event, theme, or presentation that suggests or glorify violence in any form. Our carnival is a reflection of our shared heritage, creativity, and unity, and it must be celebrated with respect for these values. We urge all participants to embrace the spirit of carnival by promoting harmony and joy in every aspect of the celebrations. Let us work together to ensure that Sugar Mass 53 is a safe, positive, and memorable experience for all. The SKNCC thanks all stakeholders for their continued cooperation and dedication to making our national carnival a shining example for our culture and community spirit. Let us celebrate together with peace and unity and our guiding principles. For further information, please contact Carnival. Okay, I appreciate it because it's part of the all hands on deck approach. Okay, Africa, if you get a chance, please call back. You're on hold because I was making a presentation. Give it a chance. Give us a call back. And thank you for your interest in the program. Give us a call back if you can, please. Right, so yeah. Let's see what Chris Collins is saying. And that's very laudable, that position they're taking. Not endorsing or condoning any song, any music that represents that vulgarity or violence. They say violence, it didn't say it is a vulgarity. So you're in the lyrics, because chair position, bend over and this and that, it becomes part of the culture. Not only during carnival time, but for those who go to the dance hall and cheer on the band, there's a competition as who go walk up the best and this and that. I went to a boat ride some months ago, years ago actually, and I was really appalled at the behavior of who I thought, by seeing them in the streets, as young, respectable women. They proved me wrong, but that's I'm from a different era. Right? That seems to be the norm, but that is also infused by the music that was playing. So you go to compete based on what they're saying. Do you think the so and so and so and so? It's like Simon say, and you do it.
No, see, my point is, I don't mind the, you're going to have the sexual innuendo, but it's so in your face now. It's not like what we were talking about earlier, all those songs that Crazy would sing. Mm-hmm. And the double entendre so artfully done.
Yes, but it doesn't say...
It's very artlessly done now. It's very in your face and raw, and it borders on... it's very explicit. There's no ambiguity about it.
Ambiguity. Okay.
It's in your face.
And these are some of the bands we find on the for Juve competing. And the crowd goes along. But then it doesn't stop there. You have to look at the children. I saw a post from a young lady this morning, 2 days ago, and I really thought that was interesting. She's welcoming Carnival again. But she finds she might miss it because she can't take her kids in town to see that vulgarity. I'm paraphrasing. She don't want to expose her kids to that. That should not be part of the mindset and be part of the norm. We see in the classrooms, in schools, we get clips from time to time of young ladies behaving that way, right? But it all comes, now I shouldn't say it all comes, but the music has a big influence on that. So I have to give kudos to that young lady who wrote and posted that though she welcomes Carnival, she's going to miss it again because she's not taking, is that Africa? Okay. All right. Africa, if you're listening, we're having a little technical problem here at the end with the phone lines, so please, we got about 8 minutes to go. Are you in? Okay, there, sir?
Socrates?
Yes, sir.
Socrates?
Yes, you're in on the call.
Yes, right. You're waiting for somebody special to come because I just tuned in and I hear you talking, so am I interrupting?
Go right ahead, go right ahead. You got the mic. You got the mic at the moment.
Okay. Well, greetings to you and greetings to everyone in Jesus Christ's name, the only Savior of sinners from the sin and from hell. And he's the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, I just tuned in. I was listening a little bit earlier, but I just tuned in again. And I would like to say this. Now, as a Christian, I'm going to deal with it from the Bible as well. Now, the vulgarity and that sort of stuff are also part of the breaking down of society. Society break down, the vulgarity get worse. The vulgarity get worse, the breaking down of society get worse. So it's like a circle feeding on its own self, spiraling out of control. And when society breaks down and get degenerate, it just don't stop with the vulgarness. Crime become more of a problem. Negative family issues become more of a problem. Everything that is negative in society become more of a problem for its destruction and ruin, because that is what happened to a society when it degenerates. Now, whether vulgar song is sung explicitly or implicitly, it's all wrong still. It's all wrong. Because we are supposed to be feeding our minds and the minds of our hearers with positive, good, uplifting, biblical things, Christ-like things. That is what we're supposed to be feeding each other with. But don't fool yourself, no. Don't fool yourself, because I remember when I was a kid going to primary school, even though you think those songs that sung by Sparrow and so was well beyond the kids, no, they were not, because we understood what they mean. Like, for example, the Congo man. We knew what it means.
You did?
I was going primary school. And if we knew them back what it meant, imagine today. The kids train them in as dumb as we think. They understand. So, be it is sung, be it the vulgarness is sung implicitly or explicitly, it is still wrong. We need to be Christian role models to the children, and in order for society to prosper and go forward. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to spiral more into degeneracy, and everything that is negative, crimes, family problems, divorce, you name them all. They're just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I would also like to say as well, government, the members of government, they need to be Christian, strong, godly Christian role models who are men. Because, as we see in the Bible, when leaders, religious leaders and political leaders, when they become true godly men who are good godly role models and who stand by the things of the scriptures, the society we see in the Bible follows suit as well. No, Christians like to criticize carnival and that sort of stuff. But if you vote for the people who are sponsoring and financing these things, then you too is part of the problem, and you too is to be blamed.
I got you.
As a Christian.
Let me give you some good news. Right?
Hello?
Let me give you some good news, right? Jams to think that you're right on just about every count so far, so it's a positive call, and we want to thank you for that. But he thinks you're right in just about every point you raise.
But could I say something last and quickly?
Please.
I want to say this last and quickly. I also, going the Bible as well, I also believe all entertainment should be 100%. Carnival, music festival, everything should be 100% privately run. And if somebody wants to have their carnival thing in one section of Bastille with the vulgarity, okay, that's between them. If somebody else wants to have something in another section of Bastille or wherever else in the other country or own carnival activity, we should also have the same privileges. So people should have multi-alternatives to attend to as they desire. And that could only happen if it is fully privatized.
Okay, I'll check up on that at another point in time, but
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll make note for that. Thanks for your contribution. Right?
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, in 1965, Jamster, as you mentioned, Conga Man, I was there when Sparrow sang it. Rose at Fire, Fire. The stage was in the Emancipation Garden, I think, and they broke down the stage. They actually fell to the stage. I'm dating myself, 1965 Carnival, when Sparrow had Conga Man, Rose at Fire, Fire. I think Fire, Fire came late in 68, if I'm not correct. But I think it was that night when they brought down the stage. So he remembers that from primary school. But way back in 1965, when I first heard it, I didn't understand it. I was 10. I was 10 around the time, but I didn't quite grasp it. Right? I was looking at the actual cannibal, the side of the song, because he was saying he's a cannibal. And the album was in black and white with him with a bone to his nose, dressed like a cannibal. You ever saw the album? Okay, that was the album. Black and white. And you have Sparrow, and you have this big cauldron, this big pot. And you have the fire, the water fire on the big cauldron. And he had a spear in his hand, just like a hunter. Cannibal head hunter. He eat until his stomach upset, but I never eat a white meat. So Socrates was thinking, well, you're cooking white people. But our good friend is saying that even in primary school back then, he understood it. So he spoke about the lyrics, how they were quoted with a double entendre. Even though he had that message for adults to understand and laugh at and giggle at, children back then did not. And that is part of the problem we're facing today with the very explicit lyrics that speak about thuggery, gun and drugs and bling and this and that. And our kids are going into that thing, and that's the norm. And so when we say we don't understand the children today, we don't look at who they're listening to or what they're listening to. Even when they go to school, because they have access to Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and all that music. But as I said before, you, the DJs, presenters, you can set the tone and reinforce that message that this is not something as a child you should be listening to because you have negative connotation. And so again, you must be part of that discussion. That's all holistic approach to crime fighting. The Prime Minister and the many advisors out there, because you have all the advisors, but nobody's saying this. You need to bring them into that discussion, and that going forward will make a difference. We are now at the midday, noontime, and we must pause for the Win FM's midday presentation. We will have a guest on the other side, so please tune in, and we'll take it from the other side.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Cariboury.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
With the WinFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
Our top stories.
Nevis's Junior Minister of Tourism, Kiana Warner, wins the Tropical Shipping-sponsored Regional Youth Congress.
Police charge fourth person for Jimmy Allen's murder. OECS underscores importance of agriculture in cushioning risk to farmers. Guyana's vice president says government does not plan to curtail free speech on social media. Internationally, Kenya's school fire kills at least 17 pupils.
Now the details.
Kiana Warner, a student from Nevis, won the Tropical Shipping-sponsored Regional Youth Congress in the Cayman Islands on September 5. Fielding from 13 competitors, Kiana, Nevis's Youth Minister of Tourism and a student of the Charlestown Secondary School, won the hearts of the judges with her exceptional debate presentation. Kiana expressed that Nevis has a lucrative market that everyone across the region should experience. She presented a PSA, a solo traveler experience which focuses on packages, safety, and artificial intelligence. Speaking about packages, Kiana highlighted some of the things that visitors can do when they arrive on the island.
Packages. Our Taste of Nevis passport offers exclusive rates for year-round activities because who doesn't like a bang for their buck? Through the passport package, solo travelers can prepare traditional cuisines at the Nevisian Heritage Village, dive into our raving mango festival, learn the mesmerizing Mokajumbi dance, and experience true Nevisian hospitality by staying with a local host. My ministry is also ecstatic to partner with influencers to showcase Nevis's mystique. These irresistible packages promise lasting impressions.
Safety is paramount. Kiana shared her ministry's initiatives to bring peace of mind to solo travelers.
Safety. The World Travel and Tourism Council 2019 highlights safety as a top priority for solo travelers. These adventurous thrill seekers are eager to explore untapped natural treasures. Thus, We are integrating smart emergency systems and cutting-edge biometric access for secure entry to excursions, accommodations, and taxi services. Colleagues, this means peace of mind and worry-free experiences for solo travelers.
The growing conversation about artificial intelligence could not be left out of the equation. Kiana says an interactive app developed by her ministry would allow visitors an opportunity to win prizes.
AI, introducing Nevis Solo, the ultimate interactive app with built-in augmented reality. AI-driven AR provides interactive guides and real-time information to enhance personal experiences. Imagine collecting virtual ingredients at local farms, then competing in virtual cook-offs. By completing these quests, players win in-game currency, redeemable for exclusive experiences like a rejuvenating massage at a local spa. Behold the Navision Solo experience, exquisitely packaged in our visionary PSA initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Nevis, where solo travel marries unparalleled experiences. I thank you.
The police in St. Kitts and Nevis have charged a fourth individual, Vidal Wilkinson, 28, of Prickly Pear Alley, Bastille, in connection with the murder of 29-year-old Jimmy Allen. Wilkinson was charged with murder on September 5, 2024 at the Bastille police station. The charge relates to the shooting of Allen on February 4, 2024 at Upper College Street, Bastille, where he was pronounced dead at the scene. Wilkinson joins 3 other suspects previously charged in the case. Davin Dagger Phipps of Lower Westbourne Gut, Bastille, charged on August 29, 2024. Antonio Pascal of Cotton Ground, Nevis, charged on September 2, 2024. And Ainan Nayas of Greenland, St. Kitts, charged on September 2, 2024. Pascal faces charges related to Allen's murder and has previous charges, including a 2018 murder and a recent drug charge. Nayas faces charges for Allen's murder as well as the April 2024 murder of 31-year-old Shakil Chumney and additional drug and ammunition charges.
In regional news,
OECS underscores importance of agriculture in cushioning risk to farmers, DBS St. Lucia reports.
The need for risk reduction in the agriculture sector has been a major concern for the OECS Commission. Due to the effects of geopolitics and climate change on the region's food security, farmers are now given the option of insuring their assets as a form of risk mitigation. The initiative seeks to quicken recovery post-disaster or market crashes, which would normally leave farmers in long-term debt.
I want to stress that insurance can only be complementary to these risk mitigation measures, and we shouldn't see insurance as the solution to all our problems. But ultimately, this insurance topic is very important because when you look at developed countries, and the presenters who came before, particularly the colleague from Spain, highlighted that insurance is a key risk financing tool for mitigating risks, and we see how in developed countries it has been used.
Mr. Glenn says many farmers view insurance as a non-profit investment. He encourages individuals to invest in insurance for financial leverage in the event of disaster and to commit to paying the premiums given by the company.
There's a link between insurance and financing and overall economic development. If you have insurance schemes in place, the banks will probably easier recognize as collateral for loans and will link their loans to the insurance schemes, and thereby allowing farmers to continue their operations and invest more heavily. I think that's one of the challenges we have in the sector here in the region. We don't have enough investment in agriculture and fisheries.
A member of the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, CRIF, spoke on the benefits of the regional parametric insurance policy. The initiative came after the passing of Hurricane Ivan. She encourages OECS member states to capitalize on the initiative to access quick liquidity post-disaster.
Parametric insurance isn't designed to cover all the losses on the ground, but it's really important to begin recovery efforts, right? So this led to the birth of CRIF, the world's first multi-country, multi-peril risk pool providing parametric insurance. It was established in 2007, and initially it was established only to limit the financial impact of hurricanes, tropical cyclones, and earthquakes.
Ms. Emmanuel highlighted the difference between CRIF and regular insurance companies. As a financial institution, the unit continues to create programs which meets the growing demand of member states. She is thankful to development partners for their contribution to CRIF thus far.
We have been providing, I believe, since about 2012 or so, some amount of premium support. In the latter years, we have been receiving support from our development partners for members. And also what CRIF is focused a little bit on is providing technical assistance, looking at how we can build resilience of communities, people in the region through a range of mechanisms.
The liquidity grant from CRIF can be accessed a mere 14 days after a disaster has struck any member state. The OECS Commission will continue creating initiatives to support critical sectors of the member states. The OECS Agri-Insurance Seminar was held on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. For the DBS News World, Manasseh Stanislas reporting.
Guyana's vice president says the government does not plan to curtail free speech on social media. Guyana News Source has the details.
Vice President Barrett Jagdeo said that updated cybercrime legislation, which the government will be tabling, will not regulate what people say online, nor will it clamp down on social media influencers or those with large social media following. At a press conference, Mr. Jagdeo said his government believes in free speech and the planned updated legislation will not infringe on free speech.
Now, we believe in free media. We believe in people freely expressing their views on the internet. We're not for censorship on the internet. We will promote that. People's right to freedom to freely express themselves. But the United Nations now has come up with model legislation about crime. Crime that is perpetrated in cyberspace. So the regulations will fit into the United Nations framework.
The vice president said even when persons are critical of the government, they are within their right, and he does not support censoring those people. But he made it clear that persons do not have the right to break the law, and it will be those lawbreakers that the government will go after.
It's only people who do that, like to extort people using, cyber means or cyberspace to exploit people, or people who are exploiting women. We've already, when I was president, we passed that job. People would take a photo and blackmail people, of women or for all sorts of reasons. People who exploit our children, like child pornography and all of these things. These are important things for us. We're not going to allow that to happen in our country. But this is not to regulate what people say. We believe in freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
The vice president also said social media commentators and influencers have nothing to worry about what they say online, once it falls within the context of free speech and freedom of expression. However, the Attorney General has made it clear that the legislation will go after those persons who use social media to slander others with falsehoods.
We now bring you these international reports.
At least 17 boys have died after a fire swept through their primary school dormitory in central Kenya. Local officials said the fire broke out at 11 p.m. in a dormitory at Hillside Endarasha Primary School in Nyeri Country, where 156 boys were asleep. Well, more than 2,000 people tried to help rescue the children, many of whom were sheltering under their beds. The cause of the fire is still not clear. President William Ruto called the fire horrific and devastating and has ordered an investigation. I'm joined by our correspondent Anne Soy, who is in Nairobi. And just tell us more details, what more is known on this?
Well, we understand that about 300 children were boarding in that school. It has a population of just over 800. 156 were boys, and they were in that ill-fated dormitory. We are told that that dormitory was made of wood, which could have helped the fire to spread fast. But the area residents responded quickly and tried to save as many as they could. Unfortunately, 17 died from that fire. Another 14 were rushed to hospital. We are told that many of them have now been discharged from hospital. They had minor injuries. The parents and the pupils are undergoing psychosocial support within the school. The Kenya Red Cross says it has set up desks there, and it is providing that service as well as tracing. From the Interior Ministry, we've heard that they have dispatched detectives and forensic analysts to try and establish the cause of the fire.
And obviously devastating news for all the families involved there. How long might it take, is it estimated, the authorities are saying, in terms of investigating what has caused this?
Well, we do not know, but going by previous incidents, these investigations tend to take a long period of time, and sometimes the outcome may not be made public. However, in the past, they have established in many of the incidents in the previous cases, including in 2017, in 2001, there were incidents of arson, so we are waiting. We do not know what the circumstances were in this particular case. The witnesses, we are told, have said that by the time they got to know about this fire, the whole dormitory was engulfed in it, and so they really do not know where it came from.
The BBC has seen firsthand the desperate conditions civilians are enduring in Sudan in the brutal civil war that's been ravaging the country over the past 16 months. Millions have been displaced, and aid agencies are warning the hunger crisis is of historic proportions. Nawal al-Maghafi, who has gained rare access to the city of Port Sudan and a key border area in neighbouring Chad, where refugees are still flowing out as aid agencies desperately try to get aid in.
The faces of a forgotten war. These are some of the families caught at the centre of what's being called one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Here in Sudan, 26 million people are facing acute hunger. We only get one meal a day, this woman, Samir Ali, says. In this displacement camp in the city of Port Sudan, they're safe from the front lines of the conflict, but life is hard. In another camp nearby, people queue for water, a most basic right, but here it's a luxury. Safa Suleiman tells me she fled with her children from one city to another, trying to escape the war, before arriving here in this displacement camp in Port Sudan.
The fighting near us was so intense. Within the first 2 days, 2 members of my family were killed. Then I watched as 2 of my neighbours were cut in 2.
Her children are mourning the life they once had, but also their father. Left behind, they haven't heard from him since January.
We don't know where he is or what happened to him. That's it. Our future is over. There is nothing left. My children are devastated.
The scale of suffering here in Sudan is unimaginable. 16 months of war have had a devastating impact on people's lives here. Over 10 million people have had to flee their homes. And if they've escaped the bombs and the bullets, there's another killer: hunger. Hunger is ravaging Sudan.
In neighbouring Chad, these aid trucks are lined up and ready to cross into Sudan. But it's territory held by a group called the Rapid Support Forces, who are fighting the Sudanese armed forces. For months, the SAF have blocked supplies from getting through this key crossing point. They say aid is being stolen by the RSF and that weapons are being smuggled in as well. Both sides in the conflict have denied impeding the delivery of humanitarian relief. As aid prepares to go in through this border, Families are crossing it to escape the war. These refugees arrived 5 days ago. It was hunger that drove them to make the treacherous journey.
It's very hard, so dangerous to come here, but all the shops are closed. There was no food anymore, nothing to drink, nothing to feed my children. There is nothing to eat. It's all war. There is nowhere to hide.
She told me there was no help. No food supplies were reaching her and her 6 children.
Aid agencies are relieved to see these truckloads making their way in today, but they say a constant flow of aid is needed to deal with the horrific situation in Sudan, where already 1 location has been declared a famine and 13 others are at risk of famine.
The UN warns that if the flow of food and supplies isn't increased, the consequences could be dire.
There is much suffering. These are not statistics. These are mothers, daughters, kids. People are going to die. Simple as that. Children, they already are. Women, more gender-based violence. Some of that they will not recover from. This is ultimate suffering.
By repeatedly spurning peace talks and impeding aid, the 2 warring sides are effectively putting millions of people at risk of starvation. Many of those we spoke to are hoping the world will take notice and action before it's too late. Nawal al-Makafi, BBC News, reporting from Chad and Sudan.
UN experts saying on Friday that flagrant rights violations by Sudan's warring parties require the deployment of an independent and impartial force to protect millions of civilians who've been driven from their homes. They also said they'd uncovered harrowing violations by both sides since April last year, which, quote, may amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is UN experts quoted by AFP, who've been... It's an independent fact-finding mission into Sudan, which has said that the warring parties may need to have an independent, impartial force to separate them, but also that there might be crimes and crimes against humanity. Well, our reporter Mohamed Taha from BBC Arabic told us about the scale of the crisis.
Between 20,000 and 150,000 people were killed in this war. The war entered its 500 days. It's 500 days. So far, we are talking about 25 people are under the crisis of starvation. 25 million people under the crisis of starvation. We're talking about 8 million people evacuated their homes. They are displaced internally, and 2 million people left Sudan completely. We are talking about 10 million people left their homes and displaced because of this crisis. We are talking about fighting that's happening while we are talking, Lauren, in Darfur, in Kordofan, in Sennar, in Al Jazeera. We are talking about a massive scale of war, and it's really good for the BBC to highlight this war whilst the focus in the world in the last months were on Gaza and Ukraine.
And briefly, the background to these 2 warring parties.
Of course, the 2 main parties, which is the Sudan Armed Force and the Rapid Support Forces, they were one force at one time. They were included in the State Council that has been formed after the collapse of the Omar al-Bashir regime a few years ago, and they were cooperating a lot in governing in Sudan until they get into struggle in power, and they had to fight all of this time.
And what are the prospects of this coming to an end anytime soon?
Indeed, the United States hosted some talks a few weeks ago in Geneva. These were participated by United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Egypt. These countries all involved in the matters in Sudan in a form or shape, and unfortunately the 2 main conflict parties did not talk directly. All what they agreed on allowing humanitarian access, as the humanitarian situation is really bad. There is a fear of cholera outbreak. There is a fear of hunger and people dying from hunger, and but they didn't agree at all on ending this conflict and ending this war. Each party is keen to have the power on their own.
The
war in Ukraine has reached a critical point. There's a lot going on all fronts. First, you may have heard about Kursk. That's Russian territory that Ukrainian forces invaded in a shock offensive on August 6. This is the first time since World War II that Russian territory has been occupied by a foreign force. The Kursk invasion grabbed headlines and cheered Ukrainians at home, but has so far failed to achieve what Kiev was expecting from Moscow. The Ukrainian government was trying to get Putin to move troops away from the eastern front line to Kursk. It was all a bluff, and Putin didn't fall for it. That's because Ukrainian troops and civilians in the east are desperate. The Donetsk front could be about to burst open, as Ukrainians are under immense pressure, outnumbered by Russians whose generals don't spare their soldiers in massive assaults that are known as meat marches. The main city under threat is Pokrovsk and the industrial urban area around it. Russian troops are less than 10 kilometers east of it. Ukrainian civilians are furious, and not just at Moscow, but at Kiev too. They say that all those troops their President Zelensky sent to his headline-grabbing Kursk incursion, they should have been sent to Donetsk to stop the front line from collapsing. And speaking of Zelensky, he just fired ministers and hired a new cabinet amid allegations of incompetence and corruption. According to him, his government needs new energy. At the same time, Zelensky wants new weapons too. Specifically, he wants the US to give him permission to use its weapons to strike targets deep inside Russia, such as military airports or plants that work in shifts to churn out new missiles and drones. The US began providing Ukraine with long-range ballistic missiles earlier this year, but with certain rules attached. The missiles can't actually be used to strike inside Russia. They can only be used to target Russian troops who have invaded sovereign Ukrainian territory. We may hear people cheering on Ukraine's Kursk offensive, but Russian ground advances in the east and attacks from the air are posing a serious threat.
On the rolling hills of Gangwon State in the eastern region of South Korea, Kim Shigap checks his crops, a lifetime of work invested in these greens. For decades, this soil has produced the highland cabbage used in the much-loved staple kimchi, the cooler climate perfectly suited to the vegetable's strong stems and crisp leaves. But Kim says that's changing.
I can feel the climate crisis approaching. Cultivated land in the region, considered the origin of highland cabbage, is being halved due to soil diseases and viruses that thrive in hot temperatures.
For months, prolonged heat waves have scorched the region.
This summer in South Korea was the hottest on record, with temperatures 1.9 degrees Celsius higher than the seasonal average. The heat was punctuated by sudden and powerful downpours that led to landslides and flooding.
In North Korea, torrential rains have displaced thousands of people. Extreme weather events have also led to a record number of storms in China. And in Japan, tens of thousands of people were hospitalized with heat stroke in July, prompting officials to add a new most severe category to its national index. Back in South Korea, high temperatures and unpredictable rainfall are threatening the survival of kimchi. Scientists warn the cultivation of the highland cabbage could cease within this century.
We need to develop new varieties of crops that will adapt well to the changing environment,
making the future of this traditional favorite increasingly uncertain. Eunice Kim, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
You were listening to the Midday News on WinFM 98.9. The headlines:
Nevis's Junior Minister of Tourism, Kiana Warner, wins a tropical shipping-sponsored Regional Youth Congress.
Police charge fourth person for Jimmy Allen's murder. OECS underscores importance of agriculture in cushioning risk to farmers. Guyana's vice president says government does not plan to curtail free speech on social media. Internationally, Kenya school fire kills at least 17 pupils.
Thank you for listening.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Cariboury.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Found the sound 98.9. FM.
Welcome back to our viewers and listeners to the second half of today's presentation of Voices. I did promise you a very special guest. The gentleman is with us at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read briefly through his bio, then we'll take a station break and we'll come back and have the discussion. We are honored to be visited by Dr. Peter Befu, if I got it correctly. He is an American visionary, an author of 146 new theories and visions in 180 scholarly books as of July 2023, and a number of articles that provide visionary challenges to conventional wisdom in all fields of knowledge, that is, the social sciences, the formal sciences, the natural sciences, and the humanities, with an aim for unified theories of everything, together with numerous visions of future histories in relation to the mind, nature, and social culture. This is a very accomplished gentleman. His books are listed in top universities, libraries, and national libraries around the world, including the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. He was interviewed on television and radio as well as by newspapers around the world about his original ideas and visions of a human future. See his official YouTube channel on global affairs, and we'll have to read that a bit later on. It's a bit technical for me. And has global experience around the world in all civilizations in 151 countries as of September 1, 2024. Besides knowing 10 languages, I could hardly speak one. That's a common bit. Besides knowing 10 languages with different degrees of fluency. Okay, we'll hold it for now, and let's take a station break. We'll come back and try to have a little chit chat with this very distinguished and accomplished gentleman.
Double the cash back. Double the groceries. Double the savings. Only at Hortford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Happening now, when you make a higher purchase, you'll get double cash back coupons for double the free groceries. Are you serious? Shop for the furniture and appliances you need, and we'll help you fill your fridge and kitchen too.
Nah, me.
But that's not all. You'll also have a chance to win free groceries for a year or a 4-piece living room set that will transform your space into a cozy haven.
Say what?
Don't miss out on double the rewards and double the savings. Visit Hortford's Furniture and Appliances or Ashley Furniture Home Store today and start your journey to a better home and a fuller kitchen.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit any Hortford's location for details.
Double the deals, double the delight, double the cash back, double the groceries, double the savings. Only at Hortford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Stores, happening now.
Welcome back. It's 12:37, and we are honored to be in the presence of Dr. Peter Befu. I'm going to ask you initially, and you don't have to answer, is like what brought you to St. Kitts? You're quite an accomplished world travel gentleman, and you're here with us for a few short days, as I understand it. So what initially would have brought you to St. Kitts? I want to get... Yes, if you may answer that.
Okay, just quickly, that's because of my ethnographic research on humanity, and I have the intention to go around the world with no exception, every single country, including the small countries like yours, because I want to understand humanity in its totality, not just focusing on the major powers, the most famous one. I also go to the ones which are totally ignored, unheard of for many people. If you go to America, go to many other countries, if you mention the name St. Kitts, people say, where is that?
That is true.
I mean, what is that? Is that the name of a company, or what are you talking about?
Or is it part of Jamaica?
Yeah, part of Jamaica, something like that. So are you a Catholic? Yes. I mean, St. Peter or what? So that is exactly my point, because I want to provide some solution to global problems. Remember, I'm American visionary, and as a visionary, I want to predict the future and provide solution to global problems for the farther future. And for your solution to be realistic, you must understand totality of the humanity, not just a single most influential powers on earth.
Okay. You spoke about, because we had a brief chit-chat prior to the start of the second half, and we were just thinking about what particular topic. I suggested something maybe on climate change. You say you would have done a presentation on that recently. You don't want to be repetitive. You just want to get a broader spectrum. So let's look at St. Kitts and the wider Caribbean, a region coming out of slavery, that's emancipation, independence, and trying to develop. We have not been able to do so as one people. Even though our outreach is the same, we have, as an independent nation, a few of us still have the British monarchy as a sovereign. Example, King Charles. In Barbados recently, they changed that So Barbados is now a republic. They have their own sovereign. But St. Kitts and a number of smaller countries still have the British monarchy as our sovereign. That speaks to our mindsets, our psyche, because we, coming out of emancipation, we were given a curriculum, a Eurocentric educational curriculum. So we tend to look towards Great Britain still as our savior, even though we claim to be independent. On the flip side of that, because of the strong influence of American policy on the region, we gravitate towards America quite a bit. We see America as a beacon of hope to some extent. We understand the complexities that it represents for people, but we still gravitate to America, to Europe, and we distance ourselves from Africa. If you can shed some light on that mindset, what causes that, and how we can change that mindset, I think that would be interesting to hear your perspective on.
Yeah, that's a very good question, but the question is quite complicated because you are not just talking about economic issue, but also political issue and cultural issue, for example. Let's talk about them one by one because otherwise we're going to mess up all of them together. Let's start from the first one that you just started the conversation about the colonial history, the cultural issue first, and then we'll go into the economic, the political, and all that. The problem that you are facing is not unique because I have been in more than 151 countries by now on Earth. I also live in Africa. I have lived there for many years now. I have been more than maybe 30 or 35 different African countries already.
I've only been to one.
Yeah. And I have been also in the Caribbean. By now, it have been probably 8 or 9 or 10 already. And I'm still doing that in Latin America, for example. So this is the same problem facing almost every single black communities around the world, not just in Africa, not just in St. Kitts. I have been interviewed about this in Africa. I have been on TV in Africa quite a lot. And people ask me the same question. And here is my answer. And recently, I also have written an article of Black Americans in America too, facing the same issue that you are facing. Many of the cultural values and beliefs have been imposed on you. Look at Black Americans as a contrast. Black Americans cannot even speak any of the African languages. They speak only English. They don't know anything about African values and beliefs. What they have, their political belief in many ways is
Anglo-Saxon?
American modern tradition. They know nothing about the Africans, Black African heritage. Okay? If you think about many other things that they are doing, they call themselves African Americans, but they have no Africanness in their African American identity. The same problem was over here. Many of this identity has been imposed on you. That means that you have a colonial identity even after independence. Your neighbor, Barbados, is a good example. I was there before I came here. And the lady, I think that she's very interesting prime minister. And
yes.
I remember that I watched her presentation the other day, and she said something like this. She said that we are small, but size does not matter here. What he means, size does matter, by the way, but what she means by that is that size does not stop me from speaking out. Small size does not stop me from saying that the colonial powers have to pay reparations. Size does not stop me from saying that we want to have a new identity. Size does not stop me from saying that the international order is not fair. So I think that she's quite courageous for her to and
very respected as a result.
Yes.
Because many of other leaders do not take that position.
But some people are afraid to speak out because when you speak out, you have to face the consequences.
Repercussions.
You could be overthrown. The opposition can be supported and come here and take you over.
As is a common American policy.
Well, look at Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Every country on earth, small powers have a difficult choice to make. The same thing about the war in Ukraine right now. Ukraine has a terrible choice to make, and they pick a choice. But when you pick a choice like this, you pick a fight with one side against the other side. The other side is come over here and trash you. But if you go to the other side, this side will come. So my point over here is that small powers, you have to play carefully, because if you make the wrong decision, you will be gone in no time. So I cannot tell you what to do, but I'm just saying that you have a colonial legacy which you had not yet decolonized. Independence does not mean decolonization. Independence often means that you are breathing a new form of colonial identity that's called neo-colonial identity.
That is correct.
The identity that we have is still a colonial identity, as you just said. Your king is King Charles III. He's a British, he's an Englishman, but he's your king. He's your former colonial master, but you consider him as your king. That is to show that you have no liberated identity. The identity is not yours. It's still a slave master identity that you are adopting. How can you free from them? I also noticed that many people over here, they have some of the complex that Africans have in Africa. Inferiority complex.
Identity, yes.
No, inferiority
complex, yes.
Now, you want to get rid of that? First, you must get rid of your colonial legacy, which you have not. Barbados take a brave step
in that direction.
Toward that direction. In the sense, I think the lady that's why he get a lot of attention and respect. But by the way, there's also a high risk because he's facing a lot of pressure from outside powers to stop it. They will go after you, by the way. They will not let you continue to do something like that. International politics is a question of power. When I have the power, I ask you to do something. If you don't, I will do something to get rid of you, like it or not. Small
There's a
powers.
history of that. You're correct. There's a history of that.
Yeah. So small powers, you have to play that smart. Remember, once you make the false move, they will come and take you with the opportunity. They will use whatever excuses. Economic, political, military, diplomatic, whatever that might be. Now they're even technological. Everything together. I think that that's a good question that you asked. So my first question to your cultural dimension of your question is that you must decolonize. There is an illusion among many other people that say, we are independent. I said, so what that you are independent? You have no cultural independence at all. Your master is still your master in your head. He's your king. How can you tell me that you have independence? That is just an empty word.
Illusion.
So it's the first step. The same thing in Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa. I was interviewed on TV many times over there. You can watch some of those TV interviews. Okay. I told them the same thing. You must decolonize your identity. Now, how are you going to do that? In what way? I cannot tell you what to do. You have to decide because each country has their own cultural specifics that you have to consider. But from the scholarly perspective, I can see that that is a problem that you are raising. There are solutions. So that is a good start. Before I go on to the economic and the political, I'll give you a chance to respond to what I said.
There are many persons who would have echoed to some extent what you said about our so-called independence, because we are seen as a member of the British Commonwealth, of which the British monarch is the head. We find it every day reinforced in the currency that we spend. Now, there are two major currencies, the one that's called Eastern Caribbean, where you find the Queen is still there. That will change eventually because King Charles is now the ultimate monarch. So in our currency, we're told, but we have that currency, this is not yours. You're sharing this, you're a member of the British Commonwealth. So we identify with that. So that mindset that we sometimes boast of independence is an illusion. We're not, okay, let's take a country that's stronger economically, one of those in Africa, they pose more of a threat when it comes to changing the status quo than us. We are very, very small. We don't have the economic or even the political will to challenge that status quo. Barbados, you mentioned, is a good example, but it's one of the many. And we don't have that cohesion of purpose to say that we are with her. We are with her, yes, because what she's doing is commendable, working, but it wasn't a concerted discussion that we should follow that example, etc. It's mentioned, but then it's put on the back burner.
Okay.
So the identity crisis we have is we are still under colonialism, even though it's called neo-colonialism.
Okay. Now let's move to the second one. I think your feedback now can move into the political dimension, and then we will talk about the economic one. Now, you mentioned about this regional organization. You mentioned about the effort by the Prime Minister in Barbados,
yes.
and you may be agreeing with her, but you still have the regional concern. That is a good example. I was also interviewed in your neighbor, Dominica, for example, I think last week, and you can watch the TV interviews. And some of the questions also raised in the sense that they asked me, Dominica is a small country. By the way, you are even smaller than they are.
Yes, we are.
So they face the problem of how to resolve some of the problems confronting Dominica. I can say the same thing to you. One of the answers that I had to their question in Dominica can be used over here too, is that because you are so small, you only have 50,000 or whatever, 60,000 by now. That is very small as comparison by, let's say, 1.4 billion in China or India, or 330 million, for example, in the US or elsewhere.
Minute.
Yeah. So you are so tiny that it's difficult for you to do anything which requires some major effort because that's just too small. So you have to work together with your neighbors, including Barbados and some other Caribbean islands. Now, there are some disagreement about that. That is okay. You don't have a lot of other alternatives. You are also a member of some of the other regional organizations.
CARICOM.
Yes, and you can use that too. So you have to work together with them, not just on climate change, but also on many of the regional issues, including this one. I think that there's some hope for that. But at the end of the day,
size... As a political solution?
Yes, size does matter, by the way, even though I was trying to be a bit more supportive when I said that she said size doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you still have to face the realistic dilemma that size does matter a lot in international
the
politics.
Grand scale scheme of things,
but when she said that size doesn't matter, she was trying to be inspirational. She's trying to say, in spite of that, we still want to... I don't mind about that, but I'm also a realistic person. So inspirational is one thing. Realistic is another thing that you also have to espouse. Otherwise, your inspiration will fail because you don't look into the reality. So that is a major dilemma. So politically, and then we can go into the economic because all of these are
intertwined.
Yes.
Interrelated.
Yeah. Another thing that you can do is that the world that we live in has changed. In one of my books, I have written more than 180, but one of them is called Beyond the World of Titans and the Remaking of World Order.
Beyond the World of Titans.
Yes.
Okay.
And I made a prediction, it turns out to be quite true now, more than maybe 20 years ago, is that we are shifting to a new international order where the Western powers will not be in charge anymore. It will be the Asian one. I was talking about especially China and India. China is already a superpower. India is coming up. But this book, by the way, was written about 20 years ago. I remember at that time when I gave a presentation, everyone looked at me and say, where are you from? Are you lunatic or something? Can you just look at the reality? 20 years ago, nothing was like that. It's still a very much polar moment at that time, as you can imagine. But now it turned out to be true that in my first book, The Future of Human Civilization, I finished that in the 1990s. At that time, I made the first prediction that China, together with other Asian countries, will be the dominant ones in the coming century. But at that time,
Quick
again...
question.
Yes.
What were the indicators to you at that time that inspired the book? Because it's not been revealed today. But from your perspective back then, what were the indicators?
Because my educational background and my intellectual preparation is very different from a normal person. When I was younger, I said to myself, instead of hurry myself up, finish my education and try to do something else, let me have a solid foundation first on the intellectual level. So at that time, I say, I must master a lot of disciplines. Not just, that's why I have more than 5 degrees, but I say, I need to read all of this literature. I end up in a massive endeavor, day and night. I sit in the library, I sit at home, I did not do anything else. For years, I have been doing like this. I read about every single thing to read in the social sciences, in the natural sciences, in the humanities, in the formal sciences. I read everything, cosmology, mathematics, everything topic. I'm saying I'm going to integrate all of them. I'm going to engage in an intellectual endeavor that no one in human history has done before. So I started this when I was still young and said, I need to have a new foundation that no one had done before. And I spent so many years preparing. By the time I finished my PhD, I have already read so much thing about everything else. And when I was working on my PhD, I'm talking about my doctoral dissertation. Read that dissertation. It was about every single topic it is in literature. My advisor told me that I had never seen a dissertation which has been written with so many sources on so many things and trying to incorporate all of them together in a giant prediction of the human future. That's why you asked me about what are the indicators. I look into many of these dimensions and I come to realize the future is no longer in the West. It will be in the East. That is a shock. By the way, the answer is also in my book that you can read, but I'm trying to answer your question very briefly.
That theory has been out there for some time, based on the global trends. But I'm saying, being from a professional point of view, intellectual point of view, having written that particular book over 20 years ago, it would be just interesting to see what were the indicators to you, because you have been proven to be correct.
Yeah. For example, the economic indicator is a good example. I mentioned, for example, that if you look at the economic indicator, China will engage in a long period of high economic growth, higher than, let's say, the Western powers. But it turns out to be true. I also make the prediction that, of course, this cannot last forever. No economy can have a high growth rate forever, 1 trillion years. It doesn't work out like that. We're all humans. So we have to use human time, not cosmic time. But even then, even in terms of human time, that is, in economics, we have the compounding effect. When you grow faster than someone else, even by a few percentage points, after 10 years and 30 years, it will be translated into several times larger than the other one. So that is one of the good examples. Now, there's one indicator. The other one is the political one. Contrary to what other people thought at that time, I also said that the Chinese political system was misunderstood in the West. In many ways, they are much more...
Was that by design?
But both by design and also by ideology and by politics, whatever that might be. Remember, international communication, even in international education, is not free of propaganda. You go to school, there are always a lot of propaganda, even in academia. And I have been in those places for a long time, and I know that.
Okay. We do have to pause for a commercial break, which we were here for at least 2 hours, but we do have to pause for a break, and we'll come right back. Very, very interesting and intellectual. Take us downtown Jamster.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
This is a boy, Super Handy Andy.
And your girl, Sacha the Artist.
With your Super Handy Andy hurricane deals at Horseless Billing Center.
For the month of September.
Heavy duty green polytap was $59.49.
Now for $44.62.
Duracell AA rechargeable batteries was $123.10.
Get it now for $92.33.
Power Zone work light was $96.96.
Now $72.72.
Display LED glow stick light was $7.56.
It's now $6.63.
1 gallon plastic roof cement was $105.56.
It's now $79.17.
1 1/4 gallon gas can was $84.53.
It's now $63.39.
Super Handy Andy
with Sacha the Artist.
With your hurricane deals at Horseless Billing Center
for the month of September. Making home improvement easy.
Yes. We're back on.
Okay.
Hey guys, I trust you're listening, and I hope you have questions for the good doctor. But we're back with the discussion, and Dr. Peter Befu. What I had something to add to why I thought that China would emerge as a world power. I believe China had a 100-year program policy of development. Whereas in America, you find every 4 years, there's a change of administration. So there's no consistent policy. You've gone from the Democrats to the Republican, and there's an interruption. Whereas in China, except for some ideology changes, you have that one consistent commitment, a 100-year plan. And I figured that was one of the factors that would catapult China as a global power over the Western world. But that was just one of my concepts of thinking why that would be. You are the person who will spend decades studying this, and you're better poised to inform us as to how things turn out to be. But you were saying when I interrupted you, where were you? What point were you when I interrupted you?
No, I was talking about trying to tell you about the political indicator.
Yeah,
you asked me what are the indicators that I use when I made the prediction more than 1990 something. We are talking about more than 30 years ago. How could I? Because as a visionary, my job is to make prediction. I always use a lot of. So when I look into any prediction, unlike many other people in human history, I don't just focus on one thing, which is my passion. Let's say Jesus Christ is more about the religious matter. Sigmund Freud is more about psychoanalysis. Karl Marx is about class struggle. Everyone is giving an angle of observation and use the angle to analyze everything. Now that will not work. And I said to myself when I was a student at that time, I said, look, I'm not going to repeat the same mistakes that all the so-called great thinkers have done in the past. That's why I just said, more than when I was a student, I said to myself, I'm going to read all of the literature that I can put my hand on. I read all of them. I'm going to incorporate all of them. And I want to see what exactly will the future hold if I incorporate all of this. By the way, nowadays, when you look back, it's not that news anymore because nowadays we have a science which is called complexity science. Complexity science is a new science coming up, which is trying to say that you have to put a lot of data into the system and try to see how the system evolved over time by incorporating everything that you can, but that's more about science. My analogy over here is that to answer your question quickly, when I look into all this different data from different angles of observation, and I can see that many of the indicators are pointing to China and next India too. So, but many of the same indicators are pointing to the Western powers in the negative direction. And that's how I came to realize that things are not working well in the West. But at that time,
not sustainable.
When you spoke like this, oh, you do not remember how I went through in the U.S. at that time. Everywhere I went, I gave a presentation. People look at me, sometimes shout at me, scream at me, think that you are whatever name that they can call me.
Yep.
That is
Because you know what, you're not speaking, you're not supporting their narrative.
Yes,
thinking.
and that's how I learned that new ideas, not just I read from book, new ideas always face persecution in history. There are different ways for them to suppress you, silence you, oppress you. For example, in my case, because at that time I was only like a student, I have no money, no power, no family connection, everything. They don't need to kill me, but they just ignore me as someone who is just like an idiot. Okay, that's fine. But the point I learned is that in my first few years of my academic progression, that this is something that you have to pay for. Now, back to your other question about the political one. This is something that, in this case, China has been misunderstood in the West. To understand this, you ask, is that by design or is that by ideology? Why am I saying a combination of them? Because the West has dominated international politics since the colonial era, especially in the last 200 years. Okay, and because of that, the West gets used to this kind of complacency that that system must be superior to everyone else. And that's why since 1945, for example, the rule-based international order is based on international orders designed, constructed, dominated by the West. And Western power do not want to let go, even now. In fact, I have written some recent article to say that they are fighting for their own last days, because you can see that Trump, in a way, why did he say to make America great again? Why did he just say to make America great? Because America is no longer great. He tried to say, we want to make that great again. Again. He did not say, vote for me, I'm going to make America great. He did not say that. He said, vote for me, I'm going to make America great again. That means that it's not great anymore. But I want to do that again. Just I say, vote for me in St. Kitts. I'm going to make St. Kitts great, but no one is going to say you make St. Kitts great again because you have never been great, right? So,
interesting perspective.
So the political system in China, in many ways, are much more effective, much less corrupt, much freer, much more humanitarian than the Western ones. When I say something like that in my publication or in my presentation, people look at me and say, you do not look into data. I say, yes, I did, but you did not. Let me give you some examples. In China, you have freedom from homelessness. In America, you have a lot of homeless people. If you go to California, there's a district in Los Angeles. We call that Skid Row. You can look at that.
I know about it.
Yeah.
I know about it. I've actually seen it.
Neighborhood after neighborhood, there are homeless people. In China, that's unthinkable. Now, this is a question about human rights because it's a freedom from homelessness. In America, every day you watch the news. This morning, someone got shot. In fact, last night, a school kid just shot four or five, whatever, and then his father, and then he was arrested.
His father bought him the gun.
I said, okay, this is just one example. I'm not going to talk about that case. I just give you one example to show you what I mean. In China, it's almost unheard of. Sometimes they do, but that's very unheard of. That's called freedom from violence. You're a woman. You work at night in the subway, in downtown in New York or in Paris or in Rome. Can you imagine the risk that you are going to encounter? In China, it's safe. Now, this is a question from violence, freedom from violence, freedom from security. Now, we talk about corruption. We often point to other countries that they are corrupt, they are dictatorship. Things in the U.S. are not like that. No, on the contrary, if you are black in America, you will see you will face a lot of police brutality. Okay, there is a problem here. Why not talk about this now? The U.S. spent a lot of money, more than 10 other military powers combined together in terms of military budget.
And the military, yeah.
The U.S. military budget is more than the next top 10 military powers on earth combined together. Why? That's why the U.S. engaged in a lot of endless wars, because it benefits the U.S. defense companies a lot.
That is correct.
It is more like a business operation over here. Now, why do you not spend the same money on infrastructure, education, healthcare, homelessness, or food and all that? The U.S. have a lot of this problem. Now, by contrast, China has spent so much money off. That's why you go to China now. China are far ahead of the U.S. in infrastructure, even in education,
May I
in
say this?
healthcare. See that? And
I have a friend
yes.
who's currently in China. She's from Antigua.
Yeah.
She's also an author. And one of the things she shared with me, how impressed she is because she's still there, with the cleanliness, the orderliness of the society.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've seen that in other. I went to Toronto some years ago, directly from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And the contrast was so in terms of the cleanliness. But she's now in China, and she called me a few times, let me know how clean. She's been to the Great Wall, she's been to Tiananmen Square, she's there, And so that order, that sense of orderliness and the pride in society. She speak about the garbage collection, how it's done, and very, very impressed with it. So apart from what she told me, I have known for some time that culture in China is all about a sense of pride in seeing your country clean, in making sure. So the crime that you mentioned that is not happening there is a result of the mindset of the people.
Yeah, and another thing I also mentioned, I wrote another
Excuse me, we seem to have a call. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices. Any question for the doc?
Hello?
Yes, you're live on Voices.
Yes. Good day to everybody, including to your host. Yes, God's blessings to everybody. Now, what I would like to say is that, you see, one of the biggest reasons why China has become a great economic power today is because certain provinces in China has been designated as economic zones for freedom of trade. You open your business, your own businesses, private businesses. As a matter of fact, it is said it is easier to open a business on the streets of Shanghai than in America. So those zones have less government regulations when it comes to business and those sort of stuff. Yes, and so in those economic zones where that has been moved more in the direction of free market capitalism, more in that direction, has been the main economic driving power behind China's economic growth and rise and that sort of stuff. And this thing started back when I think Chairman Mao had privatized agriculture to a certain extent. And then in doing so, agriculture took off economically. So, it goes even way back to then. And like I said, some provinces become economic zones where they move closer to free market capitalism and that sort of stuff. So these things has been among the powerful economic growth of China today. And this is something for that people need to learn.
Okay. Thank you very much for that contribution. Doc?
Thank you.
Yes, I spent 1 year in China as a U.S. Fulbright scholar. I won
Fulbright?
Yes, I won the national competition and for the scholarship, and I went into China in 1993 and 1994 because my scholarship allowed me to 1 year, 10 months. I appreciate what the gentleman said. I saw some of this firsthand because at that time China was still opening up. I remember many other things were so behind that it was very funny. When I went to Guangzhou, let's say the Guangdong province, which is next
Agriculture?
Next to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is inside China, by the way. At the time, people in Hong Kong, they're all Chinese, by the way. They speak the same language. They speak Cantonese. Even inside China, the Guangdong province, they are the same people. At that time, the Chinese in Hong Kong, they looked down on the Chinese in Guangdong province because at that time China was opening up. And many of the Chinese coming from the rural areas, the agricultural areas, and many of them did not even know some basic things about how to engage in business. I mean, they are very behind. Now, 10 years later, 20 years later, now more and more Hong Kong people go to Guangzhou and work. And that is the opportunity for them. Instead of looking, at that time, Hong Kong was about 18% of the total GDP of China. Now it's less than 1%. Now and Hong Kong become more and more dependent on China. Many of these people, they look down on the Chinese in Hong Kong now, go to Guangzhou province and work and live there and say how amazing, how advanced. You go to Shenzhen, by the way, it's just amazing. Many other things happening in the south of China now is even much more advanced than those in Hong Kong. You see the economic transformation. They say something also about politics. One of the things that I said in my publication, at that time no one listened to me, is that the West did not understand China because of this mindset, the colonial legacy that I told you in the last 200 years. Now, I forgive them because when you are dominant in international affairs for 200 years or more, you must be very arrogant, right?
Yes.
I mean, you get used to it. You are entitled to it. The Europeans...
There's that sense of entitlement that they have, yes.
They think that they are the best and they are the superior one. You are the inferior one. You are uncivilized. You are backward. They must lecture you. They are preaching. Look at the EU
that's
right now.
Actually taught in school.
Yes, and also taught in school too. So now, I find, by the way, the same thing happened in Chinese Empire in the 19th century. They looked down on the Europeans. When the UK came to China in the 19th century, asked for trade, the Chinese emperor told the British emperor and say, we don't need you. We have everything. Why do you need someone like you from your barbarians? The Europeans for the Chinese are barbarians at that time. Now, of course, they collapsed at that time. So the same mindset again. So this prevents them from being competitive because they don't catch up. Because over time, this mindset is eating you up. You become complacent. You don't look at your rivals anymore. This is exactly what happened that many American companies are losing now in international competitiveness because they ignore the Chinese. They don't take them seriously. Whatever they do, they always say they just copy and steal technology from us. The problem is that Chinese technology now is much more advanced than American technology. Look at Huawei. Why do you think Trump was so afraid of Huawei? Because Huawei was much more advanced than the US. They are 5G.
To ban it in the US market.
And now they are 5.5G. Now they are going to 6G. The US is still behind in 4G. And to make things worse, Trump and Biden now are trying to kick out all the Chinese companies so that the U.S. now is behind. They don't want to buy all this 5G or 6G or whatever. Now
that also gives China an
advantage, opportunity. Yes,
a technical advantage.
Now, just in case just in case all this is just my view, let me give you a data. The British journal, a well-known one, a mainstream journal and magazine that's called The Economist. You heard about that?
I know The Economist. Yes.
They just published a new survey, a new research report. They say that China now is the top science superpower. Read the article. They just came out I think 2 weeks ago. They said China is now the top science superpower. They surpasses the US and the West in 40-something out of 53-something top high-tech sectors. They surpasses the US. Think about it. Think about the ship.
The U.S. space, the satellites.
Yes. Just in case you misheard me, because you asked this question, we are not talking about ordinary high-tech. We are talking about the most advanced high-tech, the high-tech sectors which will dominate future civilization for the next few decades to come. They identify 50-something sectors, including chip making, satellite engineering, space exploration, biotechnology, quantum computing. I mean, we're talking about high tech. We're not talking about the little thing about how to make coffee. We're not talking about this. We're talking about the high tech sector among the advanced countries. Okay, they would dictate the future.
Who controls the technology? Controls the world.
Exactly. That is what the magazine is going to say. Now, the magazine is published by the British, so they are not for the Chinese in mind. They want to tell the Western world, wake up, we need to catch up before it's too late. They do this not because they want to praise China, because they want the US and the West to catch up. It's getting late. We've become so complacent. They are surpassing the US and the West in many, 40-something out of 50-something, I don't know, like 47 out of 53 or whatever the exact number is. Now, just in case you think it's just a single person opinion, another indicator last week
Okay.
from
I think we
Australia,
have a call.
the same thing.
Okay, I think we have a call. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Yes, Socrates, I just want to say something else quickly. Now, the lady spoke about colonialism, and we are under
It's a
under
gentleman.
colonialism.
It's a gentleman, not a lady.
It's a gentleman?
Yes,
I'm,
that's
so,
right.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm very sorry, sir. I'm very sorry. The gentleman spoke of colonialism earlier, and I feel so bad that for what I said earlier. The gentleman spoke about colonialism earlier, and we need to get under colonialism. Well, you see,
You say we need to get onto it. What do you mean on?
no, I said we need I said we need to get from under it.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to get from under it. Maybe it's all like we need to get under it, but we are already on it, so we can't get under it. We need to get from under it. But you see, when the last government was in, people was talking often about us. We should become a republic. I even think we should even get out of the Commonwealth. And quite honestly, I think the UN too. But one step at a time. Definitely we need to get out of the Commonwealth as well. But in the last government, people were calling into the talk shows, speaking about we need to become a republic. We need to become a republic. Now, that government, it got voted out of office, and we now have a new government. And they made a lady, Dame Marcella Liebert, to be the new Governor General, which, of course, he knows represent the
ceremonial, but yes,
royal.
yes.
And since then, the talk that was under the previous government, where people calling on radio, so calling in for us to become a republic, has finished away with. And not only that, people here, because I've heard it on the radio, even during the last government, when people were talking about we need to become a republic, there were those who were saying, well, I hear one particular lady saying, oh, we cannot become a republic, because if we become a republic, we're going to see the warships them out there coming in to invade.
Okay, Gregory.
Become a republic.
Gregory, we got about 7. Gregory, we got about 7 minutes to go.
Yes,
and I really want the gentleman to be able to present as much as they can. So not to cut you off.
So I bring up that issue about us that we need to at least begin by becoming a republic.
Much
And
appreciated.
not be afraid of warship coming in to invade us.
All right. Take me to a session break, Jamster, and then we'll come back and let the gentleman finish as much of it. Thanks, Gregory.
This is your boy, Super Handy Andy.
With the girls, Sasha the artist.
With your Super Handy Andy hurricane deals at Hostels Billing Center.
For the month of September.
Blackwood Player Flex Tape was $59.20.
No, only $44.40.
100mm 4-inch flash bed was $59.10.
Get it now for just $37.64.
Medium rain suits was $72.
It's now just $54.
13 MHP generator was $41.16.35.
It's now just $30.87.26.
Traffic code 1 gallon white paint was $229.48.
It's now just $172.11.
Super Handy Andy
with Sasha the artist.
With your Super Handy Andy deals at Hostels Billing Center
for the month of September, making home improvement
easy.
You are just repeating some slogan, but then you are not analyzing. So, yeah, this is a major problem, and I do think that.
Good afternoon. We are back, and we're almost in the closing phase of today's presentation. We have Dr. Peter Biafo with us, and very, very interesting intellectual discourse. We have a few short minutes, but there's a strong indicator that he may be back on Monday, where we can really have more time to expound on these issues. I would really love that to happen because we have, 6 more minutes to go? But it's all yours, sir.
What the gentleman said, I think that's a good point too. At least some of the local people become conscious of this problem. I mean, that is the almost half of the solution solved, because if you are not even aware that there's a problem, now that's very dangerous.
There's no problem.
But at least you are aware that there's a problem and you need to fix that problem. Now, that is already a very, very good start. So the colonialization of your identity is certainly a very important first step. Become a republic is certainly a big thing, because it may be symbolic, but that symbolicness has so much to do with your spirituality too, because now you are not trying to espouse King the Third as your master anymore. So you are going to eliminate once and for all your colonial legacy, because when you still have him, it's not just him personally, but I'm talking about the symbolic nature of that. You are not getting rid of your colonial independence that you are looking for. So it's just the first step that you have to do. And the other one is the one that you mentioned a while ago, which is also something that I asked in some of the conversation, is your currency. Because as soon as your currency is still under the currency of other major colonial powers, you don't go very far, not only in your economic independence. By the way, it costs money. Number one, you don't have independent economic from monetary policy, because your money is controlled by others. And that's very important for you to grow. No economic power on earth can grow for a long time if their economy, their monetary system is controlled by foreign power. It doesn't work like this. Okay, and secondly, when you use the currency of another country and they produce the currency for you, you have to pay a lot of fees. You have to deposit certain amount of money to them. You have to pay the fees for them to print the money for you. There are certain kind of monetary requirements. All this costs a lot of money to the country, and that's why Western Africa and Central Africa now is getting rid of the French francs as the currency.
But Gaddafi attempted that some years ago.
But he was eliminated.
He was taken out.
That's why I said small powers, you have to be careful, because if you are doing this...
he sees as a threat to the status quo.
Exactly. That's why I said international politics is a question of power. And that's why a lot of powers, why do you think the colonial powers have spent so much money on the military? Why? Because if you don't do it, we are going to come in and crush you. It's not a question that...
The creator protects, but they will get it done.
It's not a question that let's have a nice dinner together and we have a nice conversation. No, it's a question of do it, man. If you don't, we're going to do it for you. By the way, just in case you do not know, sometimes it backfired. Okay? Let me give you one example. Do you know the Oceania Solomon Islands?
I know of them.
Okay. Solomon Islands, I think it was last year and the year before, they have a security pact with Australia. Australia and New Zealand
are protectorate.
They are the local colonial powers in that region, by the way. For many years, Solomon Islands has been under the security umbrella of Australia, which is by translation is under the U.S. And then the Solomon Islands decided to sign a security pact with China to balance out, because they think that they have been dominated too much by Australia and the West. They try to get independent now. Western powers come in and pressure them to stop. Finally, when I do not remember the name of, he is the government official, the prime minister or whoever, the foreign minister, went to Australia. Do you know what the Australian people, the government tell him? Stop, or you will be overthrown. You'll be out of power soon. So now, this backfired, because when the guy came back to Solomon Islands, and they talk about this, I think the head of the government, I do not remember the name, he was very upset. He said, look, that is it. We cannot stand this kind of bully anymore. They have been bullying us like this for many years. We get sick and tired of it. It's time to step up. Even if I get killed, it's time to stand up now. It's getting too much. That is it. So now this case, it backfired now. I don't know how long this guy will be in power. Okay, when would they before they would take him out?
We are out of time.
So I think that be careful.
It offers us
this international
a
politics.
chance to continue this discourse perhaps on Monday, if you're still around and you would like to be part of this. I think our listeners and those who are able to view us online would like to hear so much more from you. But we just had just about 50 minutes or so today, and we are out of time. So I want to say to our viewers and listeners, thank you for being part of this program. To you, Dr. Peter Biafo, I think I'm mispronouncing your name. I want to thank you for coming to the program, speaking to us, to the region, because we actually seen globally. We actually covered globally. And if the opportunity arises, I would like for you for Monday my program is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11 to 12:30. You came at 12:30 today or after, and we haven't even scratched the surface, I believe, of what you'd like to discuss with us. So if you want to say a quick word to those viewing and listening, you can do a quick wrap-up, and then perhaps we could continue on Monday.
We can continue on Monday.
Right. So if you want to talk to, you had a couple of callers. Very good. Okay. Folks, you're listening. Those of you, we will continue this discourse on Monday. Once again, thank you, Dr. Peter.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I was told you'd be here, and I'm so very happy to be part of this experience. Okay? Jamster, thank you very much. And he's looking for the audio and video recording of this. He'll have that. Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
Different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Back to school is here at Harper's. Yes, Harper's, it's where it's at with the widest selection